When Senator Marcus Lepidus brought his wife to the imperial palace for dinner, Caligula sent her home 3 hours later in a carriage. Lepidus had to walk. His wife never spoke to him again. March 18th, 37 CE, Rome. Gaius Julius Caesar, Augustus Germanicus, became emperor at age 24. The Roman people called him Caligula, Little Boot, a childhood nickname from when he wore miniature soldiers' boots around military camps. Rome erupted in celebration. The previous emperor, Tiberius, had been a paranoid tyrant. He'd executed senators, banned public entertainment, ruled through fear from his villa on Capri. Caligula was different, young, handsome, the great-grandson of Augustus, the son of Germanicus, Rome's most beloved general. The first 7 months of his reign were glorious. According to Suetonius in the 12 Caesars, Caligula held spectacular games, distributed money to citizens, recalled political exiles, brought back public entertainment. He was generous, charming, accessible. The Senate declared him the best emperor Rome had ever known. Then October arrived. Caligula fell ill. High fever, delirium. He nearly died. When he recovered, something had changed. Modern historians debate what happened. Some suggest brain fever. Others point to epilepsy, temporal lobe damage. We'll never know for certain. What we do know is what happened next. The man who recovered from that illness was not the man who fell ill. January 38 CE, Senator Gaius Calpurnius Piso held a dinner party. Standard Roman politics. Senators, their wives, influential freedmen. Caligula attended. Piso's wife was named Livia Orestilla. She was beautiful, newly married. This was her debut in Roman high society. Caligula watched her throughout dinner. Then, according to Suetonius and confirmed by Dio Cassius, he did something unprecedented. He ordered Piso to divorce her, immediately. That night, he didn't ask. He commanded. Piso was a senator, a nobleman. His marriage was a political alliance between two powerful families. None of that mattered. Caligula married Livia Orestilla the next day. The marriage lasted 2 months. Then he divorced her and banished her from Rome. His justification, recorded by Suetonius: "She displeased me." 3 months later, he did it again. Senator Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus was married to Lollia Paulina. She was from one of Rome's wealthiest families. Her grandfather had been a consul. Caligula heard rumors about her beauty. He summoned Domitius and Lollia to the palace. He examined Lollia in front of her husband, walked around her, studied her face, her figure. Then he ordered the divorce. He married Lollia the same week. The marriage lasted 6 months. When he divorced her, he added a special punishment. Suetonius documents it. Lollia was forbidden from ever having sexual relations with any man for the rest of her life. If she did, Caligula declared, both she and her lover would be executed. She lived another 13 years under that edict. Alone, forbidden from remarrying, forbidden from taking a lover, forbidden from any intimate human contact. Her ex-husband Domitius never spoke publicly about what happened, but his son, born years later, would become the Emperor Nero. The pattern was established. Caligula could take any woman he wanted, married or unmarried, noble or common. Consent was irrelevant, but stealing senators' wives wasn't enough. Caligula needed money. His spending was catastrophic. Historian Mary Beard estimates he spent Tiberius's entire treasury surplus in less than a year. 2.7 billion sesterces, gone. He needed a new revenue source. In 39 CE, he created one. Caligula announced a special imperial auction. It would be held in the Forum. All senators were required to attend. What was being auctioned? Women, specifically the wives and daughters of senators who owed back taxes or had been accused of plotting against the emperor. Suetonius describes the mechanics. The women were brought to a platform in the Forum, displayed, their lineage announced, their dowries listed, their qualities described. Then the bidding began. Senators bid against each other, not for marriage, for ownership, for a fixed term of service, usually 1 year. The money went directly to Caligula's treasury. One case is documented in detail. Senator Aponius Saturninus bid on Servilia, the daughter of a disgraced senator. He won the auction, but he couldn't pay the full price immediately. He offered to pay in installments. Caligula refused. He ordered Aponius arrested, sent him to the gladiatorial training grounds, forced him to become a gladiator until he worked off the debt. Servilia was re-auctioned to someone who could pay in full. The auction continued for 3 days. According to Dio Cassius, at least 30 women from senatorial families were sold. The husbands and fathers stood in the crowd, watching, unable to bid because they were the ones who owed money or had been accused. Some ancient sources claim Caligula deliberately inflated accusations against senators just to acquire their female relatives for auction. We can't verify every case, but the pattern is documented by multiple contemporary historians. Then there were the dinner parties. Roman elite culture revolved around formal dinners. Business was conducted, alliances formed, politics negotiated, wives attended, it was expected. A senator brought his wife to demonstrate family stability and political connections. Caligula transformed these dinners into something else. Suetonius provides the details. Caligula would recline at the head table. Senators and their wives arranged around the triclinium in order of status. During the meal, Caligula would study the women, openly. Then he would summon one, point at her, gesture for her to approach. She would have to stand, walk to his couch. While everyone watched, he would examine her, turn her around, comment on her appearance. Sometimes he would ask questions, intimate questions, about her marriage, her preferences. Her husband sat at his table, unable to intervene. Then, according to multiple sources, Caligula would take the woman's hand, lead her out of the dining room. The dinner continued. Conversation resumed. Everyone pretended nothing was happening. He would return her 30 minutes later, sometimes an hour. The woman would return to her couch, sit beside her husband, resume eating. Caligula would announce his judgment, loud enough for everyone to hear. Too modest in bed. Disappointing. Better than her husband deserves. Suetonius documents specific victims. Vistilia, wife of Senator Tacitus. Caesonia's sister-in-law, whose name isn't recorded. Aemilia Lepida, whose husband was forced to divorce her afterward because Caligula announced publicly that she'd disgraced herself with enthusiasm. The husbands couldn't object, couldn't defend their wives, couldn't leave. If they did, Caligula would accuse them of treason, and treason meant death. Senator Sextus Papinius did try to object once. When Caligula reached for his wife during a dinner in 39 CE, Papinius stood, started to protest. Caligula looked at him, smiled, then called his guards. They dragged Papinius out. The dinner continued. He was executed that night. His wife was forced to watch. Then she was returned to the dinner party. Caligula kept her at the palace for a week before sending her back to the Papinius family estate. No one objected again. In 39 CE, Caligula met Melonia Caesonia. She was not young, not a virgin, not even particularly beautiful by Roman standards. Suetonius describes her as middle-aged, a mother of 3 daughters from a previous marriage, but she was different from the others. According to the sources, Caesonia didn't resist Caligula. She matched him, encouraged him, participated in his excesses rather than enduring them. He became obsessed with her. Within months, she was pregnant. Caligula married her immediately, the first wife he kept. On September 1st, 40 CE, Caesonia gave birth to a daughter, Julia Drusilla, named after Caligula's deceased favorite sister. The day after the birth, Caligula did something extraordinary. He brought the infant to the temple of Jupiter, placed her on the god's statue, declared her divine. Then he announced that Caesonia would accompany him everywhere, dressed in military uniform, armed with a sword, riding beside him during public appearances. The image scandalized Rome, a woman in military dress, an emperor's wife acting like a soldier. But Caesonia's power was real. She could protect other women, sometimes. When Caligula targeted a senator's wife, Caesonia occasionally intervened, convinced him to choose a different victim, or simply distracted him until his attention moved elsewhere. This is documented by Suetonius. He notes that some women sought Caesonia's protection, sent her gifts, begged for mercy. It didn't always work, but sometimes it did. Caesonia became, paradoxically, both a participant in Caligula's violations and the only source of mercy for some victims. The moral complexity is difficult for modern readers. Ancient sources struggle with it too. But the Romans understood. Survival required compromise. Caesonia survived by embracing what she couldn't prevent. But Caligula's worst violations were within his own family. He had 3 sisters, Agrippina the Younger, Julia Drusilla, and Julia Livilla. According to Suetonius and confirmed by Dio Cassius, Caligula committed incest with all 3. The sources differ on whether this was consensual, Most historians believe it wasn't. These were sisters he had complete power over. Drusilla was his favorite. When she died in 38 CE, possibly from illness, Caligula declared her a goddess, shut down all public business for a period of mourning, made it a capital crime to laugh during the mourning period. But he also punished Agrippina and Livilla. In 39 CE, he accused them of adultery and conspiracy. The charges may have been real. The sisters had aligned with Caligula's political enemies, may have actually plotted against him, or the charges may have been fabricated. Either way, the punishment was brutal. Both sisters were exiled, sent to the Pontine Islands, a barren archipelago off the Italian coast. But before exile, Caligula ordered them publicly humiliated. The details come from Dio Cassius. Both women were paraded through the forum, displayed on a platform, their alleged crimes announced, their letters to conspirators read aloud. Then Caligula auctioned their property, their jewels, their estates, their slaves, including their personal female servants, women who had served them for years, auctioned to the highest bidder. Agrippina and Livilla were forced to watch, then sent to exile. They lived on the Pontine Islands for 2 years, in poverty, no servants, limited food. When Caligula was assassinated in 41 CE, his successor Claudius recalled them. Agrippina survived. She would later become mother to Emperor Nero. Livilla did not. She died on the island in 42 CE. Some sources say starvation. Others say she was murdered by Claudius's wife, Messalina. January 24th, 41 CE, noon. Caligula attended the Palatine Games, a theatrical festival held in a covered passage beneath the palace. During a break, he stood up to leave. The crowd of attendees surrounded him. From the crowd, Cassius Chaerea stepped forward. He was a Praetorian Guard tribune, a soldier Caligula had repeatedly mocked for having a supposedly effeminate voice. Chaerea drew his sword. He struck Caligula from behind. The blade caught him between the neck and shoulder. Caligula fell, tried to speak, couldn't. Other conspirators rushed forward. Cornelius Sabinus, Aquila. They stabbed him repeatedly, 30 wounds in total. He died in the passage. Blood pooling on the marble floor. The conspirators ran to find Caesonia and baby Drusilla. They found them in Caligula's private chambers. Caesonia was holding the infant. She offered no resistance, didn't try to flee. According to Josephus in Jewish antiquities, she simply stood there. A centurion ran his sword through her chest. She fell, still holding the baby. Another soldier took the infant, held her by the feet, smashed her head against a wall. The Julio-Claudian line continued through Claudius, but Caligula's direct bloodline ended in that room. The assassination had been planned for weeks, but the trigger, according to Suetonius, was personal. Cassius Chaerea's sister had been one of Caligula's victims at a dinner party. Chaerea had been forced to watch. The Senate met in emergency session. They debated restoring the Republic, ending the empire entirely. But the Praetorian Guard had already chosen Claudius, Caligula's uncle, as the next emperor. Rome remained an empire. The women Caligula had violated received no justice, no restitution, no public acknowledgement. Livia Orestia was still in exile. Lollia Paulina still forbidden from intimate contact. The women auctioned in the forum still property of their purchasers. Agrippina and Livilla still exiled on the Pontine Islands. The system that enabled Caligula remained intact. Here's what the ancient sources never quite say out loud. Caligula reigned for 3 years, 10 months, and 8 days. In that time, he humiliated, violated, or destroyed the lives of at least 100 women from senatorial families. The number of non-noble women isn't recorded. When he died, Rome celebrated. But not one law changed, not one protection was created, because Caligula didn't invent the system that allowed him to do what he did. He just used it more efficiently than anyone before him. The empire continued for another 400 years,